Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Mask of the Rose. Let's start off the episode by recalling the past. So we only have two options. We can have Horatia offered Harjit a place to bring the wounded, or I can't really remember. Let's go with Horatia offered Harjit a place to bring the wounded. If you find anyone wounded out there that needs looking after, if they're safe to move, I'll bring them here. But ma'am, there might not be anyone. If no one is hurt, all the better. Most of them, I find, are dead, ma'am. One young man was crushed by a beam across the middle. Someone had come and taken off his face. Taken it off? Clean cuts. I hope they waited until he was dead. Oof. It's a bit brutal, isn't it? Are the snuffers, the face stealers? Let's head outside and see what options we have today. We have quite a lot of options, I believe. We can take back the amber. We also have... we can go see Ferret in Ferret's shop, if we really wanted to, but we are on a time limit here. Thrall Street. I can get him to show me a route, but I think I know pretty much everywhere. Oh, we need to go see Rachel as well. Visit Rachel after David's death. Let's go and do that. Seems kind of important to the storyline. Rachel and I know one another too well now for any minor eccentricities of dress to surprise her. I may still have my own preferences about how I wish to appear, however. That's exactly how I like to look. Get that gentlemanly outfit right there, gentlemanly attire. Okay, so we can emphasize that I'm here for Rachel. I can offer my condolences, or I can confront Rachel about Archie's arrest. Let's emphasize that I am here for Rachel. Rachel, what can I say? I came as soon as I could. It's good of you. People should be here. Do you know you're the first? And I've known you only a few days, while David's cousins are, one assumes, at home, eating bonbons. Good luck to them, if they can find any bonbons in the shops. Best you can get is mushrooms in syrup. And something else equally unfit. Practicing to learn the waltz. At that moment, someone can be heard at the door. There were so many new graves when we buried him. Mr. Milton is here to see you, miss. Here? Now? Do you want me to say you aren't at home? No, you can't tell him that. He'll know I'm here and... but maybe you had better say... Don't strain yourself finding an excuse. I promise to depart again before I have entirely worn out my welcome. Milton! No, please, you're very welcome. I believe we've not met. Ah, my friend. May I present Milton? Do stay, friend. Poor Rachel, I came because I heard your unhappy news. I ought to be wearing black, but there's been so little time. Let's assure her that no one minds. No one would expect you to follow the conventions in these circumstances. Oh, many people would expect exactly that. The more difficult it is to conform, the more they care that you do, because it demonstrates obedience. I did have a black gown. My mother died last year, but we handed it down to a cousin on the land outside. Her husband died in the fall, and she needed something suitable. She used to sit in the parlour after supper in the second-hand gown and a glossy wig, and drink a great deal of David's wine. Ah, the widow Nathan. I take it she had much to say about the trials of having no one to support her. She never did recognize that character as herself. Oh, so she used her as a basis for one of the characters in her story. Let's smile at this story. I join in that amusement. Phoebe said you've buried the body at Ball's Pond. Very soon after the death. It's our tradition. How do you avoid burying someone alive? Let's see where this goes. The burial, Rachel. David was dead. Unambiguously, grotesquely dead. Have you been back to the grave? Is it undisturbed? Is this how you comfort mourners in your society? We don't mourn the dead. Your inexperience shows. It isn't necessary here. You've been here long enough, is what you've been. Phoebe! Phoebe! I called you. Miss? Did you be wanting tea for the guests? I did not, and don't play the fool. I know you've had your ear to the door. See Mr. Milton out. I could have found my own way. Well, at least one of us here is going to observe the civilities, and it seems I'm the only one up to it. Miss Landau, I'm very sorry, but please, go. I get a feeling that Milton is trying really hard to tell her that people just don't die underneath. He's trying. Let's recognize that Rachel wants to be alone. Let's do that. I'll go too. I imagine you'd welcome a little quiet after that. Do you indeed? I just have time for another errand today. Oh, I could use a scandal, huh? Well, let's head outside again. Should we go back to the Amber Warrens? Let's go back to the Amber Warrens. Let's take it back to Barquin and Batter Chicken. I'm invested in the Rubbery Man storyline. The brooch makes it look as though I'm doing some sort of official business. I am indeed. Let's just go down there. Hello there. Batter Chicken burbles a greeting as well. Let's simply mention the amber. You remember the errand you gave me? If you have the amber with you, I suggest you return it. He might burst, otherwise. Can I learn more about it? What is it? And if I said the amber had been destroyed? Destroyed how? It melted. I left it by the fire and it melted away. Unlikely. Very well. I ate it. There's not enough food above and it looked like a fruit. He'll give you another one and you can begin again. It is not a gem that cannot be copied. Our resources are not as fragile as that. But you did not eat it. Oh. Batter Chicken grasps it as one would a pine cone. Oh good, we gave it to him anyway. I thought we didn't give it to him then. Batter Chicken makes a series of surprised honks. They suggest a new possibility has occurred. The tenacity of the merchant is remarkable. As is her doggedness in pursuit of her ambition. Yet there is a grubby mercenary quality to it I cannot approve. Still, it puts any doubts to rest. Commerce in this city is nascent. The locals subsist upon a crude barter economy. The time is not right. Bata Chicken emits a large, excitable warble. It indicates insistence. Ugh. Right this instant? Forgive me. I need to evacuate the essences from the amber. I shall be back momentarily. He makes a series of burbling squeaks, escalating in pitch, volume, and duration. I am given to understand that he sees London as a great marketplace. He continues to make energetic pipings, the origins of which are best left unexamined. I get the sense that he believes if everything was for sale, then it follows that his status as an outsider is too. He makes a percussive noise through the application of several tentacles into each other at studied intervals. I am to understand that through the means of a commercial enterprise, he would find his way to the hearts of Londoners. He hopes that I might assist him in securing such a license. There are few authorities in London who could furnish such a thing. That was less viscous than previous. I knew that termagant at the market was of unwholesome character. I heard warbling while I was gone. Has Bata Chicken made his proposal then? He thinks it is time that he be introduced to one of the Khans so that the lengthy process of rubbery emergence from the Warrens can begin. Ooh, Thatharu! The meaning is clear. This is not what he meant at all. Barwin glances at me, as though for support. We hoped, as the first person to encounter Bata Chicken in this city, that you would advocate for him with the Khan of Books. What would this entail? What am I to do? Stand there and make appropriate noises. I shall do the talking. Bata Chicken makes an ominous warble. You will lend credence to our argument. The rubbery men wish to re-emerge. It is best that the process is orderly, so as to minimize alarm. And given legal sanction by the Khans of the Bazaar. As the first human to encounter a rubbery man, your voice will lend weight to our argument. As I say, the emergence will take years, decades perhaps, in the deepest reaches. Bata Chicken makes an aggrieved honk. We need not wait. A shop of his own. Now. Once permission is granted, we can return to the rest. Establish communion, commingle essences, perhaps even re-establish the old vats. Bata Chicken makes a wheezy, deflated gurgle. He makes a forlorn second attempt. London is a market economy. One captures a market by finding a niche. What better niche than a shop in the possession of a rubbery man? Bata Chicken is eager to begin. It means we can both return to the deep places together. And prepare for the emergence, of course. They both look at me, as though waiting for my response. So I have to choose a side here. Do I want to choose Bata Chikan's side, or do I want to promise Bara Quinn? Let's go with the rubbery re-emergence. Just going to pretend I couldn't understand what the rubbery man was saying. I am glad you have followed my interpretation. I noted your facility with his language, and feared I was becoming out of practice. Excellent. Bata Chikan and I will begin preparations for a journey below and recommingling. Shruff. Bata Chikan makes a piercing whistle and wriggles his tentacles in a clear gesture of dismissal. It seems to indicate that he is aware that she has been translating inaccurately. He believes this to be a deliberate deception. You can't mean. I was only doing what was best for you. I have walked among these Londoners. I have seen their fear, their despair. And you mean to go and take their coin? I tell you, they will not stand for it, not this soon. Bata Chikan repeats the gesture, more firmly. He makes a guttural, plangent hiss. Centuries we have waited below, and your patience snaps now? Very well. I will not linger where I am not wanted. Let's attempt to convince Bata Chikan to change his mind. This isn't what you want. Bata Chikan makes a honk, indicating momentary regret. Then he makes a dismissive hoot. There is no convincing him when he's like this. I will not outstay my welcome. London is a large place, but perhaps we shall meet again. And if he runs afoul of this folly, I will find you. Oh no. At this point, I go back to Horatius. Let's go straight to the table. I have powers over this house that I did not always have. One might even say that I share in the house, that his body is mine in a sense. My foundations go deep. What are you telling me? The fabric of this house obeys me. The windows callous over, the roof grows barbs. The basement extends much farther than it used to. I can't write down my methods. Archie wouldn't think it was scientific. How did this happen? When did this begin? And how? Sometimes I lie on the floor in the basement when the world becomes too frightening. I breathe slowly and I imagine my roots are going into the earth. In time, I started to see his thoughts. The thoughts of the tentacle creature. And the lacquer started falling. He spoke to me more than before, when I understood what he had done to London. How he was stretching his arms beneath it. How he was rearranging its streets. Then I understood also how I could do the same with the house. Panic. So I believe this tentacle she's talking about is the bazaar itself. Okay, I guess we'll observe why that might have appealed. And that showed you how you could protect your own. Much better with that ability than without. Keep quiet and eat. I chew diligently. There are no more mushrooms on my plate. Review the day in my journal. I believe this is the last day of confessions. Accompany Bata Chikan to an audience with Mr. Pages. So they forced my hand to make this happen, huh? Okay. It is the end of confessions. This morning I wake to furious pounding on the front door. Rachel is already talking to Grizz and Horatia by the time I get downstairs. I'm Rachel Landau. I believe you know Archibald Reed, the doctor. Well enough to know he didn't kill anyone. I'm not certain of that, and my brother was certainly dead. But you were quick to make accusations. I've come to ask for your help, and maybe to free your friend as well. So I'd best not let myself be drawn. You have a way of freeing Archie? I think David might not be... That is... I think he may not be dead anymore. I keep having dreams that David is awake in his coffin. I can barely close my eyes without thinking of it. If I don't dig him up and make sure, I'll never have any peace. So you've come to us to help dig up your brother's coffin? Yes. I have a shovel in the basement, mostly for coal, but it'll do. Why didn't you bring her servant? Where is Phoebe? At home? In bed? She's not up to much lately. She sobs and asks what will become of us, and counts her rosary beads. Anyone would think it was her brother that died. You are Archie's friends, and you want his name cleared. So you have reason to find David alive, even if I mean nothing to you. She glances at me, as though to say she knows there is more between us than that, even if she doesn't choose to say so in front of anyone else. Let's help out of friendship for Rachel. I'd do it out of friendship for you, Rachel. Rachel makes a few flattering remarks on my better points. Here. There's only a fresh mound of earth. You're sure this is the one? It's not marked. I left these stones. Well, let's dig, I suppose. Rachel takes her own turn with the shovel, but it needs a hand from each of us. It's grim, slow work. When we've struck the bottom at last, Grizz climbs into the grave. Well? In a few days, eh? Grizz calls up from below. David is still deceased. You're sure? Propose an ingenious way of checking for life. Let's check the corpse's condition myself. Mind if I come down? This corpse is definitely a corpse. I'm not sure what I expected to feel in its presence. Not this. Let's look closer. The lips are green tinged, the muscles of the face contorted, the fingers twisted. There is no sense of an intelligence departed or a spirit gone. It does not give the offensive sense that someone who should be here is not. It does not feel like one's arrived too late. Keep looking. The more I look, the more I'm sure this thing has never been alive at all. I do not smell decay, but there is a pale, cloying scent, like lilies grown in the muck. Let's brush back its false hair from its false forehead. Just where the hairline meets the brow is a line of 4 tiny sigils. I can barely make them out, even with a light. From above, Rachel calls to me in concern. I touch a sigil with the tip of my finger and flinch back. The touch of it stings. I've smeared it a little, I think. Does the corpse face look different now than it did? My friend! If you were hoping to find David alive down there, he isn't. Say I'm not sure the corpse is David. I'm not sure it's David in there. You think the body has been snatched and replaced? A grave robber might take a body, but surely they'd not leave someone else's behind. It's a sense I had. The dead don't seem like themselves. I saw my father's corpse laid out before burial, but he's not awake. No. I'm not altogether sure I'd want him to be. Milton said once that the laws of life and death down here are not as they were above. And so I thought, I don't know. Whatever he implied, your brother isn't returning. It's most likely a mistake. I believe Mr. Mirrors is to blame for sending dreams. I'm going to insist on the strangeness of the thing buried down there. We might not have found a live David in the grave, but I'm still not at all sure we found his corpse. If it isn't him, then we probably don't want to meddle with whatever it is. One thing I've learned at the ministry, there are things down here that resemble people, but are not people. Not even counting the devils. We can go. I'm sorry. It was foolish of me to think there could be anything in it. Grizz and Aneurin should see you back home safely. You don't need to do that. But I'd be grateful for the company. You've had a shock. Phoebe! Phoebe, we have guests. We aren't guests. Don't worry about refreshments. I had you digging up graves. The least I can do is offer a pot of tea. Phoebe! Probably asleep. The baggage. Hi David. Hello, I let myself in. You were dead! I was? And now you aren't? Not for the past couple of hours. It took a little time to return. And then you weren't here. I'm gonna react with curiosity. How is this possible? I was truly dead, and I have returned. The paths of life and death are not as they are on the surface. That is the only explanation I can find. The question of the grave remains alarming. There was a corpse there, and you don't much resemble it. I didn't wake in my grave. I came to myself standing in the midst of London. For one moment I was crossing the last river, and then the boatman put me back ashore. I'm going to worry over what the sigils meant. The corpse with the sigils on it. It may not be David's body, but surely it's connected with this. I am not returning to dig it up a second time. My hands are raw. And I have more mysteries than I can manage already. As far as I am concerned, it was a malevolent, practical joke. And I don't need to know by whom. If it was man-made, it was still a very strange creation. There may be others we can ask. People who know more about this kind of matter. I don't believe I have the pleasure of your acquaintance, miss. Smith. I am a clerk at the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. I was helping Miss Landau. We were trying to dig up your corpse. I dreamed you were alive. That you were trapped in there. I knew it might only be grief, but I dreamed it again and again, so vividly. We should make a list of what to do. I will alert the ministry that death appears not to be going as usual. And someone needs to inform Harshit and Mr. Landau that Mr. Landau is not dead, and therefore Archie is not a murderer. Someone did murder me. I was poisoned. It was excruciating. He really was completely dead. But he isn't dead now, so therefore that is not a murder. Whoever did it might try it again. And I can't be sure it wouldn't work. Believe me, I still very much want to know who the culprit was. I'd rather hoped you might know who did it. Let's take charge of the questioning. Let's go. It would help if you could describe what you remember from the beginning. Don't leave out any details. I hardly ate anything that day. Only the medicine that Archie brought me. I wasn't feeling well from the beginning, so I stayed in my room to read. There was quite a parade of visitors in the parlour, I collect. A parade? I had Ivy Fitz-Claret here working on a fitting. She's hardly a visitor, and we were not in the parlour for the most part. Though she may have passed through. Who was here that day? Oh, Miss Fitz-Claret was here on the last day. And Archie visited? We know that, as you blamed him for the poisoning. Rachel and Phoebe were at home. And I believe I heard Milton's sticky tones through 3 sets of doors. Milton did pay a morning call. It was not long, and I was preoccupied with Ivy. I held a brief conversation with him and then excused myself. He spoke with Phoebe for a few minutes and then departed again, I believe. How did Archie behave? When Archie was with you, he didn't do anything strange. Nothing to make you think he had a sinister intention. No, his bedside manner was much the usual. He had moments of melancholy, he often spoke of being homesick, but otherwise he only showed a concern to see that I was better. Although the flavour of the medicine that day was a trifle different, more like other ordinary medicines I'd had before. He said it was a change in the ingredients available, and that he'd had to compound his own down here. A little troubling, now I've thought of it. More than a little. I'm sure it's only a coincidence. And the meaning was just what Archie said it was. What did you consume? And you ate nothing, David? No, only Archie's medicine. No drinks? No tea with a bitter flavour and a gritty texture at the bottom of the cup? I would certainly have noticed. I thought as much. One always has the sense of poisoning victims being especially unobservant. Let's finish the conversation. We should go home and leave you to your conversation. My money's on Phoebe, by the way. I imagine there's a great deal to say at such a reunion. You will let Constable Singh know that the murder is no longer a murder. I wouldn't want the matter to be dropped. It would be the most grotesque miscarriage of justice to hang a man for murder when he did no such thing and his victim is still walking around London. I will tell Constable Singh. Gracious. When you came to us for help, you said it would help us free Archie. It's true, I did. Then pray honour that commitment. That was a rash promise. It seemed reasonable, and I needed help. Can you see any of our cousins agreeing to come down and take a turn with the shovel? No, and especially not the Landau cousins. Such a betrayal of tradition. But thank you, and give my thanks to Miss Smith as well. You were truly a great assistance in a terrible time. If it was Archie who gave the fatal dose, then something will have to be done. But of course, we'll say it wasn't murder. You may say it wasn't. Okay. We learned some more things for the story crafting. Day 274. Since the fall. And we finished the season of confessions. Rachel Landau has sent a note of thanks. Wait a few days before paying a visit. There is no rule for how soon to visit the deceased after their return to life. He'll need to recover. Never mind. At least Archie will be home soon. We hope. Archie does not return. His place remains empty. Horatia cooks him a portion, but he never comes to eat it. After 4 days, Grizz tries to argue her out of doing it anymore. But she insists she can afford it, thanks to me. What isn't eaten goes to hungry neighbours in the morning. And she, Horatia, doesn't welcome interference in how she runs the house. Since the cataclysm, every season is freshly alien. The season of confessions goes out, taking with it many helpful self-deceits. Yule brings the first full horror of the Neath. People stop pretending when an animal speaks that it was imagination. Dogs, it's true, still say very little. This is what passes for tact among dogs. Cats have no such compunctions. On the rooftops they trade in human secrets, and their side glances dare us to object. Hypocritical gossips that we are. 291 days since the fall, and 14 days remain in the season of Yule, and look, it's snow. Even though it isn't snow, it's lacquer, but awesome. As I explained to Horatia and Lady Griselda, by the terms of the law, a murder was still committed. Let's not interrupt him. The trial will still be held, just before Christmas. There is nothing I can do. There is nothing the Landaus can do, either. Miss Landau did send a letter to the court to explain her brother's change of circumstance. Have you tried anything so far? What exactly did you do? I've spoken to everyone I could find. I woke an old judge from his bed in the middle of the night. He did not take to it kindly. I'm going to thank him for his efforts. Thank you for trying. It was all I could do. Archie will be tried. If we can account for his innocence, he may be freed. If we find evidence that someone else was involved, they may be added to the trial. If you find anything, if you have a good explanation for how it wasn't Archie, I will bring the evidence to him, I suppose. You'll be the first to know. Thank you. I'll need to craft my theories the way Archie showed me. If I can't build a finished plan, I'll at least be able to come up with some hypothesis. Crafting theories about an unknown motive or method will give me the right questions and let me get answers out of people. The more I learn, the more I'll be able to refine what I ask, or the accusations I'm ready to make. I'm always glad to visit Archie on the HMS Undulate with you. It's off a hardship, my friendship. I mean, we're already friends, right? I see you as one of my closest friends. I know it may seem strange, but I've come to rely on you. Not strange. I am alone here. But there was a time when I had companions. Strange to think of it. But there was a time when I was inseparable from my old friends. And cousins. They were numerous. I cannot pretend to be a whole gaggle of cousins. I am grateful, my friend. You're one to have on my side. I rely on your discretion. Handshake. We're not going for the hug. I extend my hand. He looks at it thoughtfully for a moment, then shakes it. Welcome to the illustrious company of my friends. You are unique. Okay, and we can now build stories and craft theories. I'm not entirely sure how that works, so we're going to have to experiment with that one. But I think it might be time for us to end this episode. This one's gone long. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Who do you think killed David Landau? Anyone got any wild guesses of what it could be? But either way, thank you again to the members of the channel. It really does mean the world to me and it helps me make these videos. And as always, I'll see you next time.